Record to the cloud. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of do class a little earlier tonight. Maybe we can move it to a slightly earlier time. I think that would be beneficial. I don't want to move it too early because we definitely, we'll mark it to Sunday. Maybe. I read that ration about the CAD CHF. We don't want to do it too early because I like that whole 9 o'clock time for the 4-hour candle change, which again is part of the reason why I moved, was all the different time zones. And obviously just a big change. So, but does anybody have any first and foremost questions you guys want to go over? Ration, can you unmute yourself so I can ask you if you took a buy on this or a sell? What you did exactly? If I go to the triple arrow system, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I took a sell.
And now it's going up, huh?
Yep.
Let's see if it will load. This is the triple arrow system. I took a sell. Well, wait a minute. It's not against you yet. So on this trade, I would have my stop loss right here.
Mm.
Did it already knock you out?
Well, I just took the L because I entered kind of low, so I didn't want to hold it too long.
If you entered at the very lowest, that's 76 pips. Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah.
But you know, we're moving up right now, and CAD, last time I checked, was the strongest pair.
Mm-hmm.
Like on currency heat wave, on the currency heat wave indicator, it's a free indicator. CAD is the strongest across the board. So I'm not trying to sell this. It could just be a pullback. It could bust through. I mean, I take a lot of the value in these daily dots. I think they work exponentially well.
Yeah.
So could it bust through this? Absolutely. But as of right now, it's way too strong. Like, it's super powerful.
Right.
So you were smart to simmer it down. Or you could have hedged and took a buy. Because, yeah, it's way stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Way, way stronger. But I totally get it. It's not going to make you take a break from trading altogether, is it?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Okay, good. Sorry to close that. Okay, well, I mean, I still think it's a good sell in general. Like, if it breaks this, it's no longer valid. But it's just because something is a good trade doesn't mean now's a good time. So, like, even on most of our indicators, they're all saying price is going up. And for right now, that's what it's going to keep doing. It's going to keep going up. So just because we see the triple arrows doesn't mean we're confirmed yet. So yeah, we broke a trend line, we broke the 50, but this would have been your 50 pip move. So if you got in like at the break, for instance, you would have had some drawdown, and then there you go. Well, this is a slow mover, so it's only a 23 pip move. But on any other pair that would have been a faster mover, this is you would have closed out in profit had you protected those profits or had you had a reasonable take profit. So Yes, sir.
Okay.
Awesome. I know Randy had asked a question. Are there any other questions? Because like closer to 9 o'clock, I want to click through all the pairs on the 4-hour chart and show you exactly what I'm looking for and exactly what I'm doing. So, Randy, are you on? Can you talk by chance? I don't know. Okay. Well, in the group, he had asked, how do we decide what trades we're taking to get a 50 pip goal? And here's the deal: you guys can have a 10 pip goal. Some people have an insanely little pip goal, like 1 or 2 pips. They do enormous lot sizes, huge leveraged accounts, and then that's all they do. Because you got to think, a couple of pips on 10 standards is enough to pay most people's bills. If you caught that a few times a day or a few times a week, depending on where you live and what your situation is. So for me, I just like to find the moderate amount of pips. That's all I'm really looking for. And this, as you guys can see, is your triple arrow system. So what's a good move to catch 50 pips and knowing when to enter and exit a trade? This one's probably against the triple arrow system, but this is a good move. Any of these stair step moves, if you're willing to put a stop loss in equal to or less than your take profit, okay, you're going to be successful more often than not. So in terms of this has been trending down forever. Everyone says these pairs are getting ready to buy. Actually, somebody was asking about buying GA, so let's take a look at that instead. Because they think it's ready, but it's not ready. The GBP pairs are still dropping, so we are not buying it. We are just not buying it, and it's really silly to be trying to buy. We're making lower lows. I think we did bust through, make a lower low. But so if we're looking for a pair, where this is our triple arrows. We took the signal, great, maybe we didn't. Maybe we care for the Stairmaster a little bit more because it's a confirmed in the trend move. Any one of these moves where you can say, okay, I'm going to go for half of the ADR, or I'm going to go for 50 pips because all I need is 50 pips. If I find, 5 to 10 trades a week for 50 pips, I'm making an insane amount of money because I'm getting anywhere from 200 to 500 pips a week, minus spread and swaps and kind of the different values per pip. If you have a pip goal and you're using that one worksheet that's based off of the week, so you're changing your lot size every week versus every trade, literally in 12 months or less, you'll have definitely hit 6 figures. And if your accuracy is very high, you will have hit 7 figures. But if your accuracy is normal, let's say it's 80% because we're human, there's human error in every system, and you're not yet a super advanced master trader and you're in the 90th percentile somewhere, then even at 80% in 12 weeks, so less than 3 months, there is no reason you should not be at 6 figures. I mean, you can be at the low 6 figures or the high 6 figures, but 6 figures nonetheless in 3 months, just going for little moves like this. Again, you have your triple arrows. It's in the same direction as the daily dot. You have your first entry that you could have taken, and your second entry, your third entry, and even this one, which is not perfect, you easily would have got 50 pips. And if you're not being greedy, trying to get all the pips, which is nice, it's a beautiful thing in theory, but we never know when the market is going to trend, when it's going to consolidate, when it's going to reverse. Our job isn't to know that. Our job is to just take little bites out of this move, So any of these, your triple arrow system here, I'll move this over so you can see it better. Big arrow, little arrow, small. Yellow arrow, crossover, 50. Daily and 4 hour. ADX lined up. Currency strength lined up. I'm sure most of the other oscillators lined up somewhere in this big picture. I mean, may have been over here. But nonetheless, we have a break of the trend line. We have engulfing, momentum candles, if you will. Not super, a lot of them, but enough. We have enough confirmations somewhere in this, 3-day span to say, okay, this is a safe sell. And we could have taken it anywhere in here, here, another time here, another time here. This, if you have skill, you can totally play the pullback because I follow the daily dots more than I follow anything. But if you want to go just in the same direction as the triple arrows, you can. And this is without clicking every other time frame. Yes, you can have tighter entries on the 15, but if you guys haven't noticed, the problem with that is it messes your mind up so bad that now you have something that clearly looks like a downtrend on the 15-minute chart, like it's pushing hard down. But then when you go to the 4 hour, it looks like it's been nothing but moving up. So it's really important that you pick a few things and that you can stick with it. But needless to say, any any of these moves, you could have got your 50 pips, any of them. And even if you wanted to counter trend trade, you would have got your 50 pips safely. So for instance, if you knew right here, you had your daily dots, again, they're pretty significant because they're daily support that has been tested and then proven. So this is about 1 day, this is about 2 days, this is probably about 3, maybe even 4. But anywhere in there, could you have gotten 50 pips? Absolutely, you could have got it twice. But you'll notice that a lot of really successful traders, they go based off of, they have a formula. Either they're going for X amount of pips based off of certain pairs only, or they're going for X amount of a percentage of the average trading range, ATR. So that really infamous guy, I forget his name, but it's VP, it's not VP Morgan, it's something. I'm such a silly girl. Sorry, I can't remember. But he's got all those amazing videos. His videos are really good on YouTube. And even he has his entire algorithm based off of the average trading range, which I prefer this to the average trading range because it takes up less room on my chart and it's very comparable in information. So either way, this is my choice. And I make a lot of decisions based off of this. So if you wanted to be super conservative and you could keep your stop loss tight, you could go for 25% of the average daily range. Or say you like strange numbers, so you want to go for 30% of the trading range or 50%, depending on the time frame you're using and the size of your stop loss. But the trick is to be consistent with this for 30 days or more, preferably, 2 weeks at the bare minimum, and then test your results. And then when you check back, because in those 2 weeks, you may have taken maybe 12 trades. And when you have notes on those trades, and you can actually go back and say, okay, well, this one went for way more, or this one got knocked out because I moved my stop loss up, or this one, you know, this pair doesn't usually get the average trading range. It only gets like half of it, and then it has explosive moves. So maybe this pair doesn't work well for this system that I'm creating. And you'll realize that, and from that information, you'll create a system for yourself that is not flawless, because nothing in this world is, but it is good enough to be highly profitable and successful in trading. So I really hope that answers your question. Any of these. Or in my case, I would take this too. I would take anything with daily dots. I mean, the one in the same direction as the 4 hour is better, but odds are this did have a triple arrow, and odds are it reset. In fact, I'm pretty sure all GBP pairs had a triple arrow here, had a triple arrow here. And for those who are thinking that this is ready to buy, we do not have enough confirmation to buy. Please, please, please hear me, because people are sending me screenshots of what happened with USD Chef, of what happened with GBP, I believe it was USD. And as you guys can see, this is making lower lows. We officially broke 4 hour support and daily support. And this has been trending down for, I don't know, I think we're on the 6th week, give or take. I could be wrong. But let's go to a higher time. It's been trending down for a while. I mean, as you can see, that's a long time. So just because we want it to go back up, it doesn't mean it's gonna. And if it does, it might retest 50% of this candle and then drop some more. But as far as we're looking right now, GBPs are still a sell. So we're not playing the reversals. We're not, remember, the triple arrow is a reversal system. It is a pullback or reversal system. So learning to trade it accordingly is very important. But even if we're looking at the candles, until we get a strong break, and it would have to be impulsive strong, to break a trend that's been going since April, so now we're at 4 or 5 months, well, 4 months, let's be more fair, to break that level of a 4-month trend, let's see, that's May, we're going to want an impulse move, a huge rocket move, and then a retest that does not make a lower low. See, because this retested, and this would have been where everybody was buying, and if they had good trade management, they would have made money and closed out in profit. If not, they just lost their whole account because it dropped. So when we say a retest, it breaks out and then it retests, we mean it doesn't keep making lower lows. And this made a lower low. It had a breakout, kind of what we can't confirm is either a pullback or a breakout, because no one, I don't care how perfect your system is, can predict that 100%. But again, we made a lower low. And all these wicks are super appealing on the day chart. And this is obviously, this is nice. But now we have a larger candle that is still a bearish candle. And that candle is telling us it is still selling, because this candle is twice as big as this one in body size, maybe slightly less. And we have more. We're going lower. So for now, that's definitely selling, just for those who are asking about GBP pairs. They're not ready to buy. GBP is still the weakest. It's just really weak, period. So let me go to the chat. Sorry, I don't know why it's not on my YouTube. Eduardo, what's his name? Can you talk? I forget his name.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no,
could talk.
yeah.
VP.
It is. It's No Nonsense Forex. Is it VP?
Yeah, that's what they call him, VP.
Okay, I wasn't sure, but thank you. Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's got really good algorithms, and his whole system is based off of having a system. Because look, all of these indicators or naked trading isn't going to give you any bit of profit if you don't know how to manage your trade, if you don't have consistent rules. I mean, that they need to reasonably work during summer months, reasonably work during holidays, reasonably work before and after news events. It needs to be a tradable system. Otherwise, we have this great thing and the news happens and we say it's because of the news. So we do it again. And then we say it was because it was Brexit. And then we say it was because it was summer. And then we say it was, and we're by nature, by human nature, like we always have a reason. We always justify. And then you have nothing that works, and just, inconsistency. So having an algorithm, as he calls it, to sound super sophisticated and fancy, I just call it my rules. So it's a simple 4-letter word for me. Let's see. Thank you, Siri. Oh, really?
Hey, Jenny.
Yes, sir. Hey, DJ.
Hey, yeah, I listen to VP a lot too. Actually, I listened to him a lot before I joined this group, but it kind of threw me off because a lot of his dirty dozen indicators, I don't know if you've seen that video. It's like we use a lot of those, and I'm having a lot of success with them, so it kind of threw me off.
And that, go ahead.
I'm sorry, like, do you feel the same way?
I feel like this. I feel like to each their own. So I know some, million-dollar traders. I've got a chance to work with some really awesome people. So when you get amazing results, people start seeking you out, which is awesome. I know some people who they sell you a $2,000 class that pretty much teaches you. I can't legally talk about it because there's non-disclosure agreements. But if you knew what it was, you would be painfully robbed for paying the money for it. And they're literally nothing. They're similar, just to be very general, they're very similar to the things that we use on our charts. And then there's people who create systems that have 10,000 fancy indicators. Like, there's so many, you could never possibly confirm with all of them. You could never possibly check with all of them because there's 19 versions of currency strengths, 19 versions of on the chart versus off the chart, and trending and anti-trending. And they use this enormous system and they call it something fancy, and they sell it again for thousands of dollars. I'm talking thousands, and this system is a mess. So in terms of his daily dozen and anybody else, including me included, I don't think me, your neighbor, or anything shy of a burning bush should tell you what your eyes see best. And I'll say again, I think that most of this stuff works with some amount of accuracy. So let's take the RSI. When RSI breaks the 50, so wait, it's not on the chart. But either way, when RSI breaks the 50, we know that it has X amount of accuracy. Statistically, it has over 70% accuracy on the 4-hour chart. Only that alone, especially if you waited for that 55 to 45, that break of that golden zone, if you will. So that alone has X amount of accuracy. But the difference is when you combine that with that 5 other thing, whether they're the dirty dozen or maybe it's something that your eyes just see really good, then you can take any system, create some rules, and then stick with it consistently long enough. And you'll be able to take that 70% and turn it to 75, 78, 79 with great management, 85 with the currency strength. With support and resistance, you're at 90, and then you stay there. And then you only go up marginally. So I think that, no offense, but he's not perfect. I think he's immensely knowledgeable, and his videos are priceless. However, I think that each of us need to find sometimes our own way. So does the triple arrow system work? Yeah, it does. But if you don't know how to trade basically, so for instance, if we took this trade, it was right. This was technically right. But most people would have been in profit, not knowing how to hold, not knowing when to get out. Maybe would have trimmed some profits because they're scared, so they only got, hold on, I have lotion on, I just got out of the pool, so hands are a little slippery. So this is 180 pips. You got really scared and you started trimming profits here because you weren't sure it was going to reverse, but you didn't want to close it, right? And then you're happy again because even though you only have a 0.2 on this, you're still happy you're up 200 pips, but you didn't know to close it. And again, we don't know where that triple arrow was or when it painted, and you held and you didn't check the charts again, and now you're negative, your whole account's blown. So if you're asking me, and I think that VP would agree, we might not agree on all the indicators. Again, with all due respect, he's selling a very, very, very expensive system. At the end of the day, it's mostly about your trading rules. It's mostly about creating self-discipline to take a trade and to say, okay, this is my exit. 100% of the time, this is my exit reason. 100% of the time, this is how I calculate, or this is how many pips I'm going for. 100% of the time, I'm going to do this. And you'll see most of them work. None of them are flawless. There's choppiness, there's retests. None of them are flawless. But even the worst indicator, I think, can potentially be beneficial to somebody who sees it well. So, and with the right setting, too.
I agree. Thanks, Jenny.
You are welcome. All right, guys, any other questions, particularly about charts, pips, counting, compounding? The cloud is good. But can I tell you guys here, since I'm going to go on a soapbox, I'll go on this with you guys. I'm going to go back to my GPS. One moment, guys. Yes, honey? Why? Okay, we'll talk about it. Please ask your brother to help. Out, please. Thank you. Again, he just got out of the pool, so I'm sure he tracked in ants with him. Sorry, guys. But anyways, okay, so about the Ichimoku cloud, I don't think I still have it up. I don't. But here's my thing about the cloud. is, I'll probably never remember now. You guys do realize that the cloud is essentially based off of the 50 moving average. Well, it's actually the 52, so it's slightly different. And then it's weighted to give you, and I'm not like a super sciencey person. I'm really big on my rules, but I'm not super sciencey. So like the cloud is weighted based off of the X amount of previous candles, how big the pullback can be, and all that other stuff. And then of course it has its Dickinson cross, right? Well, how do you say that? I forget, but either with the red and blue line cross. And that's very comparable to almost any moving average. It's your 9 and your 26, right? I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is your 9 and your 26 cross. Not exactly specific because it's weighted, but essentially it's the same thing. So is it good? Absolutely. But you could pretty much make your chart relatively naked. I mean, like super naked with the 50 moving average, which as we know the banks use. We can put a smaller EMA crossover and you can weight it to where it's more pointy and straight like the cloud is, like the Dickinson and all those other Japanese words I can't say. But like those words, like those lines, we can literally have a cross and then not trust it till it breaks the 50. Not trust it till it breaks the 50. I mean, the only benefit is like that whole cloud and the twist of the cloud. But if that was 100%, then the twist wouldn't matter and the whole support and resistance. So is it possible? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it took me forever to try to learn because I feel like it's really complicated and I feel like it's really ugly on my eyes. So I don't know why that is, but some people have had a lot of success with it. But just if you're going to use it, simplify your mind and at least drop the 50 on there. Okay, the 50 EMA, no weight, no nothing. Pick a couple moving averages. I don't care if it's the 8 and 18. You can try the 9 and 26. You can even try the 7 and 17, or just pick one smaller, one larger number that's smaller than 50, preferably smaller than 26 too. And what you're going to see is the crossover is very similar. The first one of the 9 and so the TK crossover, where it breaks out of the cloud, is going to be very accurate. Where it comes back and retests the cloud is going to be super accurate. And then when it has another crossover, like when our lines kind of touch and spread and don't actually cross, like something like this, they just kind of tickle each other and didn't actually cross. This is going to be shown very similar to the cloud. Not to say it's exact, it's not. That system has been around for like 50, 60 years now. It's one of the best systems supposedly because it's predictive. But there's a lot of predictive indicators, including like the alligator, and I think that most of them do the same thing. And once you understand that, like trading gets super simple. Is it going to be 100%? No, because sometimes it's going to play around with this 50. It's just what it is. It's going to play around. So the point though is like if you can learn to see that with your eyes, Eduardo, like this 50, it's the same thing. That just gives you this cloud that tells you a story that may or may not be accurate. So I don't know, are you liking it? The real question is, has it increased your accuracy percentage? By how much? Yeah, can you tell me by how much? Or if you can talk. Let me see. Okay. But either way, same thing. To me, once you understand trading, if your eyes see that better, great for you. But for me, I can keep this 50 on there and it's very comparable to that cloud. My 50 is very comparable. Is it exact? Absolutely not. Nothing is. I mean, these support are very, very comparable to like the supply and demand zones. Is it exact? Absolutely not. But this, my eyes just see better. So if I go to a chart without the arrows and I just kind of am trading the Stairmaster method mentality, go back and test this on any pair. This is highly accurate. So if you only take crosses that are in the same direction as the daily dots, I made it really small and ugly on purpose. But if you only take trades that are in the same direction as the daily dots, let's find one that went against you. So this would have been a crossover. Had you managed it well, I mean, this one doesn't move very fast, so it's not a super fair example, but this one may have ended up in a loss because it broke back out. But again, once these appeared and they were stable, you would have gotten out, so your loss would have been marginal or your stop loss would have been here. So stuff like this is choppy. And there's no right answer We don't know for sure. This is probably only 1 day of dots. I can zoom out to verify that, but pretty certain that that's about 6 dots. So if you had you taken this is your 8 and 18 cross. If you took the faster entry, could you have got your pips? Absolutely, because the average daily range on this is 40. If you were going for 20 or 30, you're good. But once this kind of stuff happens, with good management, even this one, not a perfect world, you could have got your half of your average daily range. Keeping it super simple, because it's scary. Trading is scary. It's hard. Picking a broker, everything is like super emotional. It's hard. But if I could get inside of your guys' mind and help you understand that, get your feels out of it and just start trading. Follow some simple rules. This would have been scary. This is 5 days worth of, oh my gosh, I'm about to lose my house. I thought, this was going to buy me my car, or I thought this was going to pay for that mission trip I promised my wife. This is scary. The price never broke, and then it dropped. Trading is about being able to find this trade, have enough confirmations to take it. Okay, whether you did or not, actually you wouldn't have had enough confirmations to take it, according to these, until over here, because you want this to be above the 25. But maybe enough, give or take. Either way, I'm not the boss of your trading rules. In a perfect world, you would have taken this one. If not, you got stuck in this consolidation and had fear, kind of like the gentleman who was talking about this move over here. This is fearful. This is hard. But for right now, it still looks like it's going to go down. I mean, if it breaks this, then it breaks this, and then we're done. And that's fine. But until then, your job is to trust the system and let it play out. That is your job. Your job is not to watch it. Sure, we all want to catch this move, but until you can pay off your house, why are we trying to catch this move when we can have a trading plan that works and is accurate and consistent? So let's see, it's 8:59. All right, any other questions real quick? Any at all? Going once? Okay. I love you too. That is my little guy. In and out of my office tonight. Sorry, there's like swinging doors for the office and it's like really loud. Okay, but anyways, no questions at all? You guys are super quiet tonight, so it feels like I'm talking to myself. We changed the time to our meetings. Derek, so I posted in the group I wanted to start a little earlier. In fact, I think I'd like to change it to either 8 or 8:30 Central Standard Time. I think 8:30 is a good time because 9 o'clock is that candle, which is the one that I actually want to catch. So if any of you guys think that that's a good time, please let me know. It's a little earlier. I would love to go to 8, like for family and for reasonable bedtimes, because I get up really early. But I like the idea of catching. If I'm going to be on here, we may as well try to catch some of the 4-hour closes and see what the market is doing. So if you guys like 8:30, please let me know. And that's 8:30 Eastern time. I just think it's marginally better. So I like the idea of going to like Mondays and Wednesdays. That's when I take the most trades. It's Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay, that sounds fine. It's just 30 minutes earlier, correct?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
It's just 30 minutes earlier than we previously had it, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. I caught it. I was just did my little Costco shopping.
Oh, okay, there you go. Well, it's okay. Yeah, we were just kind of talking. All that stuff will be recorded. I just went over the value of writing over the value of a pip, but I went over what moves to catch 50 pips and kind of just some basic training. So
Excellent.
nothing major. But okay, guys, it is officially. Go ahead.
Jenny?
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, this is Anna. I just wanted to make a comment that my trading has really, really improved so much just basically off of the strategy that you just showed with the crossover of the 18 and 8 and the 50. And I always wait until I get a close of a candle directly underneath the 50. And
on what time frame?
Huh?
On what time frame?
On this, I've been trading a lot on the 15 minutes and taking a lot of pips. I've just been watching the 4-hour, and then I'll take my entry off of my 15-minute as long as I've got triple error on the 15.
That's awesome. That'll work perfectly.
Well, I kept having a hard time with the right entry because I kept entering too soon and going into major drawdown until the 50 crossed over, and then I found that the 50 was working so well that I always wait till the bar closes directly, and the whole body has to be completely underneath the 50 before I'll take the entry. Seems to be working pretty good. Comment?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to decide what kind of trader you are. So in a perfect world, we'd never have drawdown, and then trading would be easy and no one would walk away. But I stopped worrying about drawdown, and I only started worrying about accuracy. Because drawdown, like, go back to the triple arrow system. If we took this trade, in hindsight, there's a perfect entry, there's no drawdown. But in most of the time, we get stuff like this, we get super funky. Somebody's got some background noise. I don't know if that's you, Diane, but somebody's like crickling some chips or something.
Yeah, that rainstorm. I thought I muted myself. I'm sorry.
Let's see. That's why I want to answer your question. So, like, to answer your question, I don't worry as much about drawdown as most people. Like, for me, I don't have the time, and I don't know if it's just my mentality and me, which does not make me, it probably makes me less patient. But I don't want to find a perfect trade and like what I see on the 4 hour. Okay, so let's take this, which we know trended down for like 1,000 pips. So I'm just going to draw a couple of lines to give you some ideas. The odds are when I see one of these moments, okay, any one of these moments, just drop in a few, okay, anyone. Let me go to a bullish candle, a bearish candle. I almost guarantee that, I don't think it'll work if I click down on the 15-minute time frame. Actually, that won't work. But if I click down to the 15-minute time frame on these spots, I can almost guarantee that the 15 is going to be telling me to buy. The 15 is going to be telling me to wait. The 30 is going to be telling me it's buying. So for me, and this is not, Pat has a certain way of doing things, and that makes him a phenomenal trader. Like, he's making an enormous difference. Euro NZD. So he does great. But for me, I want less drama. I want less noise. I want less problems. Like, that's what I want. So the 4 hour is still buying, you guys. Sorry. Let's go to whatever chart I just had open. So whoever was messaging about Euro NZD, the 4 hour is still buying. This is a buyer's market. It doesn't even look like it's going to stop or retest. Euro is strong, NZD is weak until like the average daily high, like a good 30, 40 pips. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I mean, we broke another high and we're just making more highs, but it is due a retest. It's definitely due a retest. So like, if you wanted to enter this trade, I do know a gentleman who trades this way, that we now have a 4 hour close of a bullish candle above the 8 moving average. Everything is telling us that we can buy. Everything is still aiming up, then buy this market. So that's totally up to you. But everything is lined up, period. If I go to the 15-minute chart, is that what you were talking about, person in the chat? Boom. See that breakout? That's beautiful. In 6 minutes, this brand new candle is forming. But the odds are this is going to go up to that average daily high and then wick down. So the odds are what's going to happen with this, and I'm not a rocket science, but this is a scientist. This is recorded. The odds are we're going to get, let's just round down and say 35 pips out of it. And then this 4 hour candle is going to create a wick. So it's going to come up X amount of pips, and then it's going to drop hard to create a wick. But NZD obviously just tanked. I don't know if they had news or not. So it must have been NZD because I didn't know about anything else. So just to give you an idea, whoever said that in the chat. Wait, you have some weird background noise. Where can I get, or what is it called, that nifty indicator that shows the currency strength? Alejandro, sorry if I butchered your name. So there's two different versions. I would go to the marketplace and look up, I'm going to mute everybody again. If you have something to say, you can totally unmute yourself. Just make sure you don't have any background noise. This is just a demo account, but just to kind of show you. I bet you I can show you guys tomorrow night this closed in profit. Period. 35 pips. Well, because I also know the spread of this broker pretty well. But as for this currency strength, this one was free on the marketplace. So when the first night I told everybody about it, like they had a lot of downloads, I'm sure. They got super cocky, I'm sure. And then they turned it to paid for indicator. But there is another one. It's called absolute currency strength. It is a little more messy to read, but that is the indicator I had the most results with, to be honest. This one's just a little more easy on the eyes and a little more functional because it only shows 2 at a time rather than all 8 currency pairs. But if you're looking for a currency indicator, I would recommend the Currency Heatwave, which is a free app on your phone, and or you can use the Absolute Currency Strength, which is a free in marketplace. A little messier, a little harder to read and learn, but needless to say, that one indicator increased my accuracy ratio more than anything else in terms of the triple arrow system on the 4-hour charts, or 4-hour and 1 hour, to speak very directly and very honestly. That one indicator made the biggest difference to anything I tried, and it saved me from getting into entries that weren't ready. And for the most part, I trust this more or less on the 1 hour, so I like this to be exactly where I want it to be on the 1 hour. But worst case, this shows me, hey, I can go take a look at GBP CAD, and we know that GBP is super weak. We know that CAD is very strong. So if I'm looking for a trade, I can use this in many ways, not just on the crossover, but it tells me where to look. So like, I don't want to play with this pair particularly because it's just made such a big move, and if I'm not already in it, I'm not trying to compete. But again, same concept. We are making lower lows, and we have a nice little railroad formation, but not enough of something that we're going to trust it enough to, bank on. Could we get 20, 30 pips out of it? Absolutely. CAD is flying and GBP is still sinking. But would I risk it? No, not per se. So we are on the 4-hour time frame. Let me check the chat one more time. I have the paid for version, Dorian, so I don't know about that. I don't know what you mean. After a month, you'll get the upsell. What do you mean? So I don't know. I just paid for it. I think it was 20 or 30 or some odd dollars per year. And I figured that was a pretty good investment. So that was just me, though. Oh, the free version? Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, they're not that much different. The only crappy part about the free version is you have those pop-ups, which is not fun, but it's still manageable and it's still a good product. So this is all I do. So this is literally the birth of a new candle. So as you guys know, I've been talking for months about into what times these candles happen. They happen 6 times a day. And if you're trading off the 4-hour chart, you're going to know where the market's going and when the most important times to check is. If you have another bullish candle close and it's in the same direction, you're making lower lows. So this busted out of this low, it's making a lower low. So is this like a great entry? Most people would be too scared to take this trade right here. But if we click on a higher time frame, okay, this is officially breaking. It broke down past previous support, and this is support from May. Just to give you an idea, it is breaking and making many lows. It's definitely due a pullback, absolutely. But again, odd is very, very weak. So odd is just weak across the board. This is on the day chart, as you guys can see. And I don't like the fact that USD has so much news, but this is just a demo account kind of playing with that whole concept of lower lows because it's a great way to trade. It really is. And I've been highly successful with it. But guys, you can see it's in the same direction as the daily dots, same direction as the 4-hour. You have your triple arrows crossover, 50 moving average. The kind of stalled out. I wouldn't necessarily call this a flag. I'm sure somebody else who's more experienced with the whole flag concept would, but I don't know about all that. So I do know we made a lower low. We were playing around for a little while, and the odds are we're going to drop hard. So I'm going to keep clicking through. We are on the 4-hour chart looking for something that's happening. So some people are trading right now a lot based off of the 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 4 p.m. Central Standard Time candle. So when that candle closes, our daily dot becomes more secure. As you guys know, all the on pairs are dropping. I'm not taking this late of an entry. I took odd CAD way up there, and I closed off some of my position, but I'm still in it. Let's see, I'm going to keep clicking because I'm just looking for a setup. I'm looking for a sign, and this is all I do. It's not overly complicated. It's not super difficult. Most of us are waiting for CAD CHF to drop, but like we said, this is going up. CAD is too strong to be trying to sell it. No matter what our indicators are saying, it's just really, really strong. So for now, we're going to trust our, we have our daily dots, which in most cases, I would trust the daily dots in my crossover. And if I had perfect timing, which isn't always the case, I would have closed in profit because I managed my trades well. There's only a few times a day where I go 8 hours without being able to move my stop loss up. And I always move my stop loss up because here's still on this perfect move, it never came back to my stop loss. I would have been fine. And if it did, I would have got a re-entry here anyways. Otherwise, like I would have got a re-entry. If it doesn't come back up, then I catch all these pips, but I catch it in a safe way that I'm no longer stressed or worried. So I'm going to keep clicking through. Let's see, CAD JPY, and CAD is way strong. So I don't usually trade too often against the daily dots, but either way, we're going back up and I'm not playing. We have a new crossover saying up, and we're going against the daily dots. CAD is way strong. So I don't want to play with that. Again, this is kind of indecisive. It's a little too choppy for my eyes, so that's why I would, for the most part, kind of veer away. On this one, I'm going to check. Our 4-hour candles are saying buy. Our 4-hour triple arrows are saying buy. But you guys can see that every time frame is just, it's all over the place. We don't really know what this market is doing at all. So until we know what this market is doing, this is a market I would stay out of. That's just way too many months of consolidation for me. Like I don't see a trade super well personally. If you guys have a better insight on that, by all means, I mean, if you have an opinion or an idea, you can definitely bring it up, but this is what I see. Clicking on the different time frames. I like how it's 1 hour, but this wick is It makes the stop loss far too big. I don't like how we have 4 hours saying down. This is one I'd be tempted by if things just lined up a little smoother. If things were a little bit prettier. And right now, this isn't like a clear crossover that's going to aim back up, so I'm not going to take this trade. Oopsie, silly me. I'm not going to play with it because I don't want to risk. I don't desperately need to find a trade that I love. Here we go. Who is this?
Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
On that trade there, what about the fact that the currency strength is so squeezed together? Would that make you not want to take the trade?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like to go over every indicator, every one of the reasons why I would not. If I had a clean crossover like this, saying this was going to sell again, that's perfect. But see how this doesn't give me that clean, hey, this is buying again look right here?
Yeah.
Small, I'm sure, for you guys. And again here, JPY is gaining strength, which is good. But that if JPY is gaining strength, we'd be looking to sell this, right?
Yes.
And so we would, in order to be willing to buy it, CAD would have to be on top. And you guys can see that even as we're sitting here talking, that right now CAD is on top, but JPY is pushing hard.
Right.
Probably has to do a lot with the time, the session we're in. Here, let me make it slightly bigger for us. And then also we have this kind of play around the 50. I like this whole retest, didn't make a lower low. This would be a perfect flag, is not making a lower low. But now we're dropping hard, and that's physically in front of our eyes. So what could happen, knowing that this is the first candle of a 4-hour candle. So this one could drop really hard to create the wick on that 4-hour, and then the next ones would rise. But for right now, I would be looking for a buy because that's the direction of the daily dots. And this is telling me it's not a buy. This is telling me it's not a buy. My buyer's line is aiming down, not up. Right? This is not a pretty perfect buy. And we have another 4-hour dot, which I would be willing to ignore that one if everything else was perfect. But even my 8 and 18 crossover, if you guys can see that marginally, let's see. My 8 is on top, so I'm looking for a buy, and everything's saying no. So the only option here is a sell, And that's against my dots and it's against my triple arrow, so I'm not interested. Just so you guys know what I see. I don't play with this pair too much. Everyone in the world thought this was selling. Everybody who sells signals was so proud of themselves for believing this was selling. This right here, this perfect sell. Yep, that was it. That was the whole sell. So now we're back in this formation. Definitely is looking like a flag formation. We have some dots, but again, this pair is tricky. You better know that you know. And here's what I see on this one. I'm going to make it slightly clearly an uptrend. I can go to a higher time frame, but I'm just going to stick with the hour for right now to show you. For right now, I would need an impulsive move, like a huge move, not a baby move, but on a big move. I would need it to break that really messed up trend line I just pretended to draw. Let's see. I would need it to break this. And I would need it to break it hard. Okay, not a little bit. I would need a cross of the 8 and 18, and I wanted to clear this 50. Like, that's how much confirmation I want to, because this is one of the most expensive pairs to trade. So this one gets manipulated, in my opinion. Doesn't mean it's factual, but in my opinion, this pair gets manipulated more than most pairs because it's the best paying pair. So like I've said other times, I spent 6 months trying to learn this pair, and then I realized I didn't really care, so I didn't want to learn it anymore. But again, same concept. This is same buy. My euro is coming down, which is good, but it's still not decisive. And this could easily be a pullback, so I'm not clear yet on a good enough reason to take this trade. Although we do now, let's see, this would be the first part of our daily dot. So we don't know for sure if this is going to stick or not. So on the 1 hour, we need 24 of these for it to matter, at least to me. I mean, unless I have everything else lined up, I definitely want a lot of these. So go back to the 4 hour. And now I'm going to move back onto the next pair. I don't love that pair. Same concept. Everybody and their mother wants this to sell again. Everyone was said that it was selling for a while, and it did. So if you protected your pips, you got your money. But for now, we officially just made a higher high. And could you chase this trend? Absolutely, because we're making higher highs. And if I zoom back down a little bit, let's see what I see. I like in general how euro is so powerful, and we know the odd is weak. I like how high volume is. I like quite a bit of it. But I don't really feel the need to jump into this pair, knowing that this pair has higher swap fees. Is there a really good chance that you can get your pips out of it? Absolutely, because we've officially broke this high. We're in the same direction as the 4 hour dots and the daily dots. We're in the same direction as the triple arrows. And is there a very, very good chance you'll get your 50 pips before it has a good retracement? Yes. Guaranteed? Absolutely not. So that's what I've got on this pair. I'm not super in love, but I would keep my eye out on it. Once this retests or gave me more like 4 hour dots to buy, I would definitely be buying it. So taking a look at Euro Chef. Again, I like the triple arrows in this breakout move, but right now we're due a pullback. So I would only be looking for sells, and right now, I mean, there's not enough. Euro is still stronger, and it could be coming down, but we don't have enough confirmation to sell this at this moment. We would need a much more clear break of our 50, or at least that perfect smooth 8 and 18 cross. This is lining up. This is a mess. And, you know, this is kind of in the water, if you will. So, yeah, go ahead. I can't see my Zoom, so if you guys can talk, by all means, please talk. The free version, USD CAD has triple arrows for a sell. Yes, I'm in it for a buy on a CAD CHF. That's good. Yeah, being in for a buy right now is good. But why did you take that buy, Barry? I mean, that's the real question. DJ, you're shorting NZD CAD. Yeah, that's been moving for a while. Looks like CHF JPY will drop one last time before breaking out. So whoever raised their hand, you can go ahead and talk. Go on ahead. You said this one, right? Let me go back to the chat. Sorry, guys. Looks like CHF JPY will drop one last time. Yeah, it does. It does. But I don't really take stuff against my daily dots, and I found it to be successful enough for me. There's enough opportunities in the market for me not to go fishing and not to go gambling. Like, so do I know I can take some of these trades for enough pips? Absolutely, I do know I can. And most of the time I'll be right. Because again, I've gained enough skill as a trader, like I'll be right most of the time. But if I want consistent results and a consistent system, I need to have consistent rules. So whereas it's fun to like just play around, absolutely. At this point, like I just don't want to. I want to stick with the system that I know works. So, and that's my decision. So, who is that? Who raised your hand? Can you unmute yourself? Let me go to participants. I don't see you anymore. So, if you have a question, by all means, come on up. You're more than welcome to unmute yourself. Or if that was an accident, just tell me in the chat so I know. But I'm going to go back to going through the charts real quick. So Euro JPY, similar concept. Our daily dots are coming in, which I like it. And I like the idea of JPY getting stronger, so it's dropping. But this is perfect. That's a beautiful thing. It's a little hard to see. I'll try to zoom in so you guys can see it. To give you an idea. Now I'll go over. Okay. There we go. I see how this is a perfect spread. And it's kind of zoomed in so you can't, you don't really see how valuable that is, but that's a nice spread. That's not like a little indecisive. Looks like it's getting ready to take off. But I would want this new candle, this brand new one, to close. This is the 4-hour chart. So we still have 3 hours and 35 minutes for this to decide if it's going to close a bearish candle. If this does close a bearish candle, and I'll be asleep during that 1 a.m., that's the 1 a.m. candle. So 1 a.m. will be here. I'll be able to check at 5 a.m. my time. So on this candle, at this point, I would have 4 daily dots, which I feel like that's enough to take trusted on one dot, especially if I have a couple of bearish candles going in that direction. Then I would take the trade. I would trust it enough. Or I would simply wait for the pullback and be in the same direction as the triple arrow system. But at this point, according to our triple arrows, either way, it's not ready to buy. We're in a pullback. So we'd be looking for a sell opportunity maybe, but definitely not a buy opportunity. We're trusting our daily dots as well as our arrows, depending on what method you're using, Master or the triple arrow system. We're looking at the 4-hour time frame. If you guys can notice, for the most part, I'm not clicking on other time frames unless it's super, super of an appealing trade. And when I'm not talking to you guys, this takes me maybe 15, 20 minutes. So similar concept. This is kind of buying at the top of the trend. We do know this is going up. Very, very high likelihood that it's right. Extremely high. This is just a demo account. But so I already explained to you this is something I would take and why I would take it. Euro CAD is in the middle of a pullback. We know that's because CAD is strong. So the best entry would have been when this one closed marginally, but kind of counts below the 50 or here. But again, guys, I stick with that rule of the daily dots. So if it's against the daily dots, I'm simply skipping it. Because if you go back and test this, like you'll see that that's accurate insanely amount of time. So it's accurate more often than I've seen anything else. When I combine my daily dots with just my ADX, like literally just those two things, my accuracy is insane. When I add a little bit of their confluence, it's out of this world. So I don't have a huge need to play with everything else. I mean, I'll take a look, and when I see this bullish candle, I really want to wait for this cross, but either way, to get 50 pips or half my ADR, it's too easy. Way too easy. That's awesome, Barry. Way to go. USD CAD. Let me take a look. I'll go out of order real quick. Were you buying or selling that? Somebody's got some background noise, guys. I'm going to mute all. If you want to talk, by all means, just make sure your background is clear. It's much cooler than me sitting up here talking to myself, so I'm all for it. Let's take a look at USD CAD on the 4-hour chart. So this is that perfect crossover. This is the kind of thing that I would wait and I would hold. Because I have a crossover, I got my alert, I'm in the same direction as the 4-hour. and the daily dots. So I'm super happy with that. At the time, I think that when I placed this, I think I was on a call with somebody, but either way, this was pointing up, obviously, so it's a little silly. If you can talk, Williver, please do. I don't know how to, this isn't like Pat's call where I have a whole bunch of control over whoever, there we go. Williver, can you hear me? I see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you talking. So you're definitely unmuted, but I can't hear you talking. So I would love to honor you and help you with whatever you're asking, but I can't hear you. There you are. Yes, go ahead. How can I help you?
Okay, I noticed something that I've been doing it on my little 200. I started with a 200 account, and I noticed something about a triple arrow, and I don't know, it been working for me pretty good. Every time I see the triple arrow came up, and then when I kept looking at the 4 hour and the daily, it will form like a W, and it will shoot right up, like bounce off trade, like a bounce off trade, whatever, with a triple dot. So I took the zigzag candle and I changed the big arrow. I changed the big arrow to a zigzag. The zigzag would represent that. Then for some reason, whenever if the zigzag is all the way down and from a W shape, and then when I go in the trade with my daily dot, so I want to trade the 4 hours and the daily, and then one thing I noticed, I put the 5 SMA, and it just works so perfectly. I don't know why, but man, I've been growing my 200 account, been growing it for a month. I know I've been real scared because I'm not using the chart yet. I don't put a lot of lots, but I mean like 700, 200, just from 0.1 lot. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, I just wanted to get that across there.
That's awesome. So you're using the 4 hour and the daily chart. You're adding the zigzag, but you're waiting. So
That's a.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm using the 4 hours in the daily. So I will at the end of the day, like if it's like my time in the Eastern time. So I will like until like 4 o'clock, and I start checking my charts. And I have a currency meter indicator that's real good. But then when I start checking my daily data, and then I wait until like 4:45. At 4:45, I go through all my 28 pairs and see what pair is really good for me to trade and what my indicators are telling me at that time. Sometimes I trade the 2 pairs, maybe 1 pair. But every pair I trade, I go in. If I go to 0.1, I put 0.1 twice. And when they reset in paper, I will take the first one out and then the next one ride. But I'll just keep putting my stop losses as it goes up. I'll keep drawing down a little bit later. And for some reason, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's been working so pretty good. I'm just amazed about it.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I'm sure that a lot of people on the call would be super blessed to get a chance to hear you talk. So when you say that the zigzag, well, we know that, look, this system does work better when it makes a double bottom. So the odds are the arrow here and this little, it's a little messier and choppier, but this is a W, right? Made a double bottom and then went up. Here's our triple arrow, made a double top, and now it's going down. So a lot of people tried to sell here, but again, with poor money management, they got stopped out. They had too big of a lot size and it wasn't ready yet. So like if you're holding, and I don't really use the zigzag, I forget even where they're at on here, if I'm being honest. Aren't they standard, right? I know they're standard. I just forget where they're at.
My phone is just today. I can't hear nothing you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, my phone is just tripping today. So much problem. I'm sorry for that, but I'll just listen.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, thank you for stepping up. I'm sure that helped and blessed a lot of people on the call. And it meant I didn't have to talk, so that's awesome. So, yes, sir. Yeah, a lot of people use the zigzag lines. I'm not too familiar because, again, I see things a little differently. But if it's going up, it's going up. And because of the way it moves, it's just going to show you, like, it'll show you more clearly the double tops and bottoms. Just a different way of seeing the market. But if you can see that this is a double bottom, this is a W pattern according to the market maker, huge book of nonsense. It's a lot more valuable of a system if it doesn't break and make a lower low. Obviously, if it makes a lower low, it's done. It doesn't count. So same thing that happened here, making a lower low. And there you go. But what I was saying was when I took this trade, I believe I was on a call or trading with somebody, and we were looking for trades, and this was one of them. So this was not as super as good of an entry. It is in profit, 14 pips. But needless to say, this is the kind of crossover with support, same direction as the triple arrows. At the time, that sell was up higher, and obviously the momentum was facing up. And it's okay now that it's going down because I still trust this trade in general. If not, then I'll move my stop loss up. And this isn't necessarily broken the zero, but that is good. And you can ride this down, or you can take the Stairmaster steps all the way down in the same direction as the trend. And whatever helps your eyes see that, whether it's the zigzag, whether it's your, support and resist, SuperEZ SR, no matter what method it is, you can do this over and over again. Yes, I totally trade.
And I found this indicator called the candle change indicator. It changed color. It's really good for price action. I got it for somebody, and he was like, use a quarter. He wanted me to try, and I've been trying it, but man, look, I can say thank God for it, because with that candle changing color, with a zigzag and with a triple arrow, man, it has been a God blessing. It's just crazy. Yeah, I can't explain how it is, but hey, like I said, thank God for everything.
Well, that's awesome. I think God gets the glory for everything. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, so that is definitely the case. As for candles, guys, there's so many different kinds of candles. You're more than welcome to post that in the group, and maybe somebody can find use for it. But that's awesome. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, guys, so now we're on EuroCAD. I didn't take a look at this one yet. Again, CAD is very, very strong. So this is already against my daily dots in terms of my Stairmaster method, and it's also against the triple arrows. And right now it's selling. So we're not going to take this as a sell, because it's against our two major, well, in my opinion, this is one of my major, has to be there, or this has to be there for my swing trade method. And right now neither of them are in the same direction. So could we scalp this down? Probably. It's heavily moving down. It's probably going to move down. We've got a nice kind of double top. We've got a railroad formation of candlesticks where the two bodies they stop and are flat at the same point. But needless to say, it's just not a trade I'm willing to take. So that's kind of the case though with Tuesday nights. Monday nights are a good night to find trades. I think that most of the time you get a nice pullback during the day or a trend continuation confirmation. So, but it's Tuesday night, so again, we are making major lower lows. We're on gbpusd. I can put the watermark back on here. I don't know why I have it off, but for now, we don't have any reason to try to buy or sell this pair, not according to the 4-hour time frame. So for everybody and their mama who's trying to buy the GBP pairs because we have a big arrow, please stop it. Please stop it, because we don't have enough proof and reasons. Could you scalp it and get a couple pips? Absolutely. And have a likelihood of being right? Absolutely. But for right now, this is going down, as you can see. It has been since April. Most GBP pairs have been. And now, actually, I think I heard something that GBP USD hit an all-time or a 50-year low or something. I don't remember which it was. But this is a major drop. This is not a small one. And that probably has to do with our economic climate and the whole drama going on. THF is it's heavily loading, and GBP is tanking. So the way that these two currencies correlate with each other, this one gets kind of dropping a little bit harder and faster. So I'm going to keep going. We know that GBP pairs just really aren't ready for anything. If you could catch a continuation, probably great. But until then, there might not be a lot of setups tonight. Let's see. But this is all I do on the 4-hour chart. Legitimately, this is it. And when I'm not talking to myself or on a call, it doesn't take me very long. Sometimes I'll write down what I see. If I like something a lot, and I don't want to take it just yet, this one I don't mind. I like that really big momentum. But again, this could be a pullback. Here's what I see on this one. If I were to be tempted by a GBP pair right now, I'll say again, we're moving down. We just officially made a lower low, but we do have a railroad. We have daily dots now trying to form. Odd is stronger still than GBP. And it's getting stronger. So if this continues, they're kind of going to battle. I can't say, but I might keep an eye on this pair, kind of see what it does. If it comes back down and it can't break that, I might be considering. Otherwise, yeah, I would stay out of this one. For swing trading, like what I'm really good at and what I used to grow big accounts was swing trading. That's it, was to keep it simple, not having to babysit every other chart. I don't super check a lot of other time frames. Yeah, this actually looks pretty reasonable. That railroad is a little bit more valuable because this candle is almost as big, but it still doesn't erase that candle. And that's nice. If it breaks this, you'd be looking for a sell continuation of some kind. But for now, it's a little indecisive. We would need more power, more momentum to say that this is actually a buy. Because again, we're making lower lows. So the odds are this is only a flag. Might fake you out and touch this ADR high before it drops. But either way, if it breaks this, you're looking for a sell. In order to be willing to consider this a buy, you'd want your 4-hour support in the same direction as your daily support. You'd probably definitely want your crossover, maybe even a break of the 50. You'd want a lot of evidence to be trying to buy a GBP pair right now. Because without that, you're just asking for pain. Lots of pain. Do you have a question? Yes, sir.
I was just going to mention the reason why the Aussie went up is they just had their news drop, which was very positive for them. So that's why their strength went to the top just now. It was actually at the bottom maybe 5-10 minutes ago or so. I don't know if you recall on the meter. So
that's crazy. Well, yeah, but it also depends on the time frame too. But it is definitely going up. And I was wondering, I figured they had to have news because usually when Australia has news, NZD goes wild. When NZD has news, Australia goes wild. It's kind of crazy how they're so related.
Yeah.
So, but thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, guys. So on this one, if I were to take a trade, NZD is definitely going to keep selling. And it just everything is still lining up. You have your NZD, which is weaker. I mean, not a whole bunch, but it is weaker. We're still pushing down. USD is kind of making a pullback. It's not being as powerful as we want it to be, and that's okay. But we have a really good seller's market here. And when it flats like that and then breaks below it, you usually have a move. When it makes a flat like that and it breaks below it, you have a move. And again, all of this is in the same direction. So we have triple arrows, daily, 4-hour, 4-hour, new 4-hour. We're looking for another drop. How big? This is a pretty slow mover, but 20 or 30 pips. This is a trade that I would take. For this one, I would click up to the daily. I'd want to see what how far does this have to go before it hits another level, essentially. So according to the daily. Again, 30-ish pips. So if you were asking me, I'd say this is still good for 30 pips before you get another pullback. And then if it kind of retests and plays around and drops, this is good for give or take 100 pips that you could hold it for. But you have to know that. So this is a good trade. And also, here's what I see on the daily, so you guys know. On the daily.
What pair is that? I can't see it on my phone.
Oh, yeah, I'll put the watermark back on here. This is the NZD USD.
Okay.
So like on the daily, we were starting to trend up. Or this would be like your Elliott wave correction pattern, depending on your level of information, Either way, if this was your pattern, you definitely just broke it. You're making lower lows now. So you broke it on the daily chart. So that's kind of powerful. It doesn't mean that it can't come back up and retest. But there's enough indicators for me to say that this is selling. For how much, I don't know. It could come down for that first initial 30 pips or come back down all the way to make the 100 pips. But this is selling for sure. This is a trade that it would be safe to enter. The US dollar news is awful. That's not good. But this one's better. Same concept. It broke the trend line on the daily chart, which that's appealing. That's one of those, I can check this off of my 9 out of 10 checklist. Let's see. And not a super fast mover, guys, but we're in the same direction as the triple arrows. Daily support, 4 hour, 4 hour. We broke a lower low, and we already had our stall out period. Now, this is the kind of stuff that traders, they don't understand what they're seeing, so they get too afraid to see the charts. They get too afraid to take the trade. What I want you guys to hopefully see, sorry, I'm making it all funky and moving too fast, but this is NZD-JPY. So when you get this like flat part right here, people are saying, oh no, it's consolidating. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can trust it. But that's when the move happens. You get this consolidation, then the move happens. Okay, the move happens. So we have this kind of pullback, if you will, move happened. So we already had that consolidation, the stuff that would have scared us. So now we should be expecting the move to happen. This is not a bad trade to take. So what happened? We broke below that low. If we're going off the wick, we officially broke it. That means we broke it literally in the last 45 minutes. So to trust that this is going to come down that 20, 30 pips is very, very good. I mean, you can go for less and just go for 20. This is a safe trade. It doesn't mean that you might not get your pullback. You might, and that's going to suck. Like, pullbacks are hard, mentally and emotionally. But if you trust your analysis and you understand that you're going with the trend, you don't have much to worry about. So this is a valid trade. People think you only need to find this one. That's not the case. You can have found all of these. You broke then one here. So you have your triple arrows, could have taken it here. Could have taken it when you had your crossover. Could have taken it when you broke your 50. Could have taken it on your first 4 hour support. Could have taken it like once this stalled out and then broke below it like it did on this candle right here. This is a trade. Okay. Could have taken it again here. And now we're kind of consolidating out again. We're kind of just fluffing around and we broke that. So now we're looking for the play to the downside. This is the kind of trade that a trader wants to take because there's no guessing, there's no gambling, you're not playing a pullback, you're going in the direction of the trend. So this one, CAD already had its major pushes, so I wouldn't really necessarily enter this one. I'd be waiting for a pullback. Because again, see, you'll notice that before this big push, there's almost always this like flag. There's almost always this flat top, as Pat would call it. There's almost always this consolidation period. I mean, go back in time and test this. You have this little play that kind of threw everybody off and then it moved. You have this play and then it moved. This play right here, which doesn't have any support or resistance dots. But when it plays around like this, you're waiting for it to break out. And once it does break out, like it did here, okay, some groups would call this, what is it called? It's like the killer zone or some crazy cool word that they come up with. But this right here is the zone that you're looking for a move from. So like I just said on NZD-JPY, that little zone happened and now we broke out. That's the move you're looking for. And just so you know. Same concept here. We flat topped, we flat bottomed, and now we're breaking out. NZD is way weak. CHF is getting stronger. We're coming up on what would potentially be a double bottom. It's in the same direction as your triple arrows. Not a super fast mover and not a lot of pips to gain, but your accuracy would be on point. And that's kind of the key. And if by chance, I don't know what this is here for, it could have been from a different time frame. But if by chance it breaks that and it breaks it hard, you're going to be looking to hold this as a sell. So people think that, oh, I missed the move. I don't know what to do now. Hindsight 2020, I always feel like it's possible, but then I can't catch it. But there's a lot of moves that take place in this. And most of us, this is on the 4 hour chart. This isn't looking at every other time frame. This isn't being super stressed out. If you guys can learn to read these candles, and these are naked candles. As you just heard that gentleman speaking up, he's had a lot of success with all those fancy candles. I know a lot of other people have had success with fancy candles. But for me, I want to see this flat top or this flat bottom because I want to see when price breaks it. So when price broke, it kind of tickled and broke it here, but then it kind of stalled out some more. But let's go to the lowest part. Price really broke it, and then it dropped. And that's all we're looking for. All these are moves, both from the top and bottom. And when you learn to trust that, So I'll move this here. We had a flat bottom, nice little pullback install, and now we are dropping. Somebody's breathing a lot. I don't know who, but yeah. So if price breaks this area here and here with impulse, again, not just like it tickles it, I would be looking to sell this for an entire, give or take 80-ish pips. I'd be looking to sell this long term. And it's not a fast mover. NZD kind of takes its time in general. But that, again, is a good trade. Well, more accurately, it's a good scalp on the 4-hour. This is how I would scalp on the 4-hour personally. All I would be doing. So some of these newer moves aren't going to happen until maybe later on this week because they happened at the end of last week. Sometimes they'll happen at the beginning of next week, and then they won't happen again because it's just kind of the cycles of the market. Now this one, on the other hand, which is against the triple arrows, as you can see, has 4-hour resistance, but we know USD has been massively strong. So this one is appealing. We have a crossover. It's not very clear yet. This looks like it could be a flag. It's not like an impulse move. It's not like a reversal move or formation. But now we have what is this, maybe 3? Yeah, so 2.5 days worth of daily dots, right? We're still above the 50 and we have buyers 4-hour support. But I like this one. This one is one I would write down and hopefully take at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning my time if everything is still consistent. This is what I would take. So I'm going to zoom out. If it will let me, it's kind of lagging for some reason. And I'm going to go to the 1-hour chart. Or I'll go to the 1 day. But sometimes I just stay on the completely 4 hours. So we do have a breakout. I can draw a trend line just so you can see it. I'll draw it from here. We did break the trend. And now we have officially closed below the 50. We came back up and retested it. And now price is deciding what it's going to do. So if price can give me some 4-hour sell dots, then I would take this trade. I would need a couple other things to line up. And it's very possible that it will when I'm sleeping. So it's not quite ready yet, but this is one that I would take a look at. So far I've got 3 that I would take a look at 5, and a few that I would be willing to scalp. Just so you guys see what I see, because this is all I do. It's not a rocket scientist, I promise. I should do a video of the pool in the backyard. You guys would get a kick out of it. I did some meeting with somebody just real quick, not even a meeting, just a Zoom call, and it's pretty nice. They were like, oh my God, because it's beautiful. But
Yes, it was very nice.
I don't show a lot of people. I was like, nope, I'm in a bathing suit and a towel. But yeah, it is nice. It's a nice life. It's all palm trees outside my office window. If you guys can really just get this down. So again, let's see, we're at USD JPY. I like the fact that JPY is dropping. Let's see, JPY is getting stronger. I'm sorry. God, it was dropping. See, they can't make up my mind. But here's what we have. We're on the 1-hour chart, mind you. We have our triple arrows. We have a crossover. It broke the 50, and now we're kind of playing around. But we now have sell dots for the daily. And this isn't confirmed yet. As you can see, there's only 5. So I would want that 6th one for it to kind of be stable, or I would just wait tomorrow early New York or close of New York to know that this is a stable dot. And once I have that, Damien, go ahead. Damien, can you talk? When you guys raise your hand with Zoom, you can just like talk like a person, normal person. There you go.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, I would like you to take a look at, what is it? I would like you to take a look at Euro odd, 4-hour.
Yes, sir. Let's see.
Thank you.
I'm going to the 4-hour first. Yeah, it's lagging. I got the best internet on this island, and I'm still not super impressed. Seriously, guys, it's not even funny. But I think it's because I work from home, so I'm expecting like a miracle. Okay, so we're on the 4-hour.
Euro.
Oh, wrong one. I was going to say this looks good, but that's what I was just saying about US Chef. So I'm looking to sell a lot of these pairs if they play nice. There's got some crazy news, but Ooh, that's a nice drop. But like the guy was just saying, the gentleman who said odd had news. That's why odd and the Australian dollar and the NZD, they all kind of flipped out. So for now, that's beautiful. That's the kind of impulse move we want to prove it's a trend change. See, go back and track every trend change. Almost every time you're going to see an impulsive massive candle, or you're going to see a very clear candle formation. That's just naked trading. So this is amazing. This, on that candle alone, just because of that one alone, I would definitely put this on my watch list.
Yeah, that's what so that wouldn't be a get into at say London session.
Well, you have the blessing of being available for London session. I don't. So for like you have to create rules that are going to work for you. So I'm big on that, and it's just because that's what worked for me. So having said that, we're at let's see, this is the 9 p.m. Eastern time candle. The next one happens in 3 hours. So you can be around when that one happens. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
Okay. So if this one closes, odds are it's going to close bearish, and it doesn't close with like some massive wick down here to where it like made a big push and then pushed back up. So if this closed with a full body candle, so a heavy candle, like something like this, right? Doesn't mean it doesn't have any wick, but it closed with a heavy kind of candle. Just kind of, if you can picture that in your mind. A wick is okay, but it just can't be like this, not this, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if this closes like that, I would expect the next candle, that's at 1 a.m. my time, to come back up and retest 50% of it, give or take. You'll notice that that's not always a science, but gosh, it happens quite a lot.
Yes, it does.
Quite a lot. And sometimes you're going to be like, oh, it's not going to happen, I'm going to take it, and then boom. Oops. That's what's going to happen. We can do that, and that's okay if you're comfortable with that. And by then, I'm guessing you're going to have, here, I'll even go to my other chart. Let's go take a look more clearly so I can see it with fresh eyes. So at this point, we don't have daily dots, so we're not going to have any daily dots at all. But could this be a nice pullback? So playing the pullback, absolutely. So could you wait for my little measure tool to come up, if it will. Baby, let's see. Could you get at least 50 pips? I mean, yeah, because this got to pull back. This is a heavier mover. If it pulled back even just to close to the 50, and it wasn't a trend reversal, so let's always go with the worst case scenario. So we plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? So could this be that pullback that gives you a lot of pips? Absolutely. And that candle is evidence of that. That one candle speaks volumes, but it depends on how it closes. So if this one closes looking like this one right here, but just imagine it purple, okay, then we're not going to trust it. But if it closed as a body candle that is engulfing, and this one's currently more engulfing than the previous three, so that's pretty powerful. That is a trade that I would be looking at. But you need everything else to line up.
Yeah, and I had a question on RSI. When it points down like that, is that a good indication for a sell?
Absolutely.
So
but what you have to understand is, let me make it bigger. Let me make it a little bigger so you guys can see a little better. Just a bit bigger, baby amount bigger. I know better than that. Oh, fine, maybe a lot bigger. I fibbed. So there's a lot of different ways to use RSI. Some of them use it as oversought and overbought and oversold. But the thing is, that is so amazingly accurate that it is insanely bad. It's really great for like 2 pips. It's almost 100% for 2 pips. But oftentimes it doesn't cover the spread, and it's not consistent. It will only work on all the reversals. Like it only works on certain kinds of trades, and then it will blow your account on every single other trade. So it's like 100% accurate on certain kinds of trades, but then it's like 98% inaccurate on everything else. So to give you an idea. But it is pointing down, and that's good. For me to trust it, I want it to break the 50. Like, I just got really good at trusting that. I want it to break the 50. There are other little tricks and stuff that you can go off of. You can use divergence. So right now there's a lot of divergence on this pair. Do you see that? Do you know what divergence is?
I believe so, but can you explain it?
Okay, so if you guys can see this baby red line, so you see how this is kind of a flat top?
Yes.
Now if I draw the same line, watch this, in about the same place, notice how price is doing something exactly opposite of what? So price is going up, but our RSI is almost slanting down. Price is going up, and this is going flat.
Yeah, because a couple of times my RSI kind of confused me, and I got in, and I wasn't supposed to get in yet.
So, yeah, okay, and that's okay. That's why we use more than one. So I think most of these are reasonably accurate. Like they wouldn't even still be around if they were less than 50% accurate. I mean, try to bear that in mind. That most of them wouldn't even exist if they were less than like 60% accurate. The problem is having the right trading rules and understanding to make them effective. So having said that, so RSI, in my opinion, is better with the trend. So when it's below the 50, you're looking for sells. When it's above the 50, you're looking for buys. You'll notice this one, it kind of tickled, and then it went back down. It broke the 50, and now we're staying above. And that's how I personally use the RSI. I just find it to be the most effective because that keeps you with the trend. It avoids you taking that TDI level, perfect pullback, and the greed of trying to time a top and time a bottom. So most of us who have traded longer than a month know that that is the best way to blow your account, is to time this top. Well, I'm gonna get the top. I'm gonna get the very top. I don't have enough money in my account. I gotta put more money in there. I'm gonna get the top. I'm gonna get the top, right? And that's just how people trade, and that's the problem with that whole overbought stuff.
And I had one more question for you. On your screen, that seems similar to the alligator or whatever. Is that like close to what that is? No.
No, again, so the alligator, these kind of stick out slightly further than what this is, right? But we can pick almost any other EMAs. So we can pick like the 5, the 15, and the 25. We can pick the 10, the 25, and the 50. And they're going to be comparable. Some of them are going to be a little smoother and a little even. Since these are different, these aren't the same, odd numbers, or they're not the same amount of percentages apart. There's gaps. But in theory, when you're pink, in my case, my 8 is orange, my 18 is pink, or fuchsia or something, and my 50 is white. So when you're 50, when price is below the 8, and that's below the 18 and the 50, you can ride this all the way down. And I learned to trade that way from a lot of people, especially in IML, and like Dr. Speller. He has a lot of very comparable things. He would call this the shark's mouth. When there's a lot of space in between here, then you're definitely do a pullback. You have room for a pullback, but it also means a stronger trend. So it depends on how you want to look at it. The same concept here. Here, it stops you from taking this trade. Do you see the difference? It's like if you see this portion, could you have got pips effectively? Absolutely. Like enough to pay off, credit card bill? Yes, you can. Especially on a Euro odd or like a GBP pair. This is gorgeous. But this kind of stuff oftentimes gets us in trouble because we don't know this is going to happen. It could end up to be this, so this kind of choppy mess that gets us stuck. So having that rule that says, okay, I need my 8 to break the 50 and my 18 to break the 50, and I need price to be below both of them, and you take that and you stay in it until price closes above your middle moving average, for example, which it didn't really close above that until here. This is a safe, very good amount of trades. So you wouldn't have gotten this one at all because your 18 never really broke above the 50. So it would have skipped you this trade, which is actually a good one. But the thing is, it also would have skipped you this one, which could have potentially lost your money. So again, same thing going here. Now, the alligator is just simply different EMAs. It supposedly is predictive, but if you can tell, they twist the same way any other EMAs.
Yeah,
It's most of the stuff isn't like, people call it cool names, and they make the Ichimoku cloud makes the 50 look like a big cloud. I got this one guy, he makes his 50, I call it his fancy 50, because he makes it like this big. I can't even draw, hold on, I think maybe I can draw it. This is what this dude's 50 looks like.
Oh my God.
I'm going to show you guys, seriously. So I'm going to make it white, and I'm not an artist. I can draw flowers and hearts and like That's it. So I can doodle. But here's what it looks like. I'm not even kidding. How do I go to draw? I know how to do this in theory. So he makes it like this wide with like these big squiggly lines. And it's like, seriously, it's bigger than the candles. And then it gets really big and it gets kind of skinny. And then it gets really big. And then it gets like skinny. But all it is the 50 moving average. That's all it is. And like, of course, sells it for lots of money. And all it is 50 moving average. Seriously. So
Really?
I'm not kidding, yeah. As this is like the fanciest indicator on the planet. And basically, it's programmed to where when price is close to the 50, it's thinner, and when price is farther away from the 50, it's thicker. But if you have, again, guys, if you learn this stuff, you don't need 1,000 indicators, you don't need 1,000 systems and all this other stuff. There are a few things that I'm not going to fib that would help you. Anything to do with trade management would help, and any form of currency strength would help. But almost everything else out there, you're going to find it. Someone is going to call it something. They're going to convince you you need it, okay? They're going to convince you that it is like, it gave them 90% accuracy and it made them buy that Corvette or whatever. But the truth is, most of them is modeled off some pretty basic stuff. But that's all it is just basic. Learning to trade and having a good group of people, having a team of supportive people, and just learning the concepts of, hey, none of this is as hard as we think it is. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of painful growth. But whoever raised your hands, go on out. Come on out.
You see, Jeanette, you see the way your chart look like? You have the 50. See, my chart look the same way like that, but I have the HMA and the 5 EMA, and then the 66. For some reason, like you said, you see the 50 pretty good, and I kept trying a different number, but the 60, and mine is below my chart. Mine is not on my chart; it's below my chart, and so my is right below there. I've managed to figure out how to put it over there. So I mix it with the 66, and then the 5, and then the 6 moving average, and then the RSI. For some reason, man, like I said, I was telling you, with my price action candlesticks, and that's all I have in my chart. That's it. And my triple arrow, that's it. I'm done. It worked pretty good. And I did do the 4 hours and the daily. That's it. If I don't find something, I find it. And I have a trend line. Once my price action indicator, my price action candle break the trend line, I'm in the trade. If it's not, I don't go for the trade.
That's awesome. See, guys, it's just about the way your eyes see it. Like, I want you to stick with this group. I want you to stick with Pat. I want you to stick with me. I want you to grow as a family and, like, let's learn together. But just realize that if you want to put your EMAs down here in its own, like, oscillator window, you can do that. If you want to, fall in love with a TDI, you can do that. I mean, even if it's something that I don't prefer, you guys are more than welcome to add or take away parts of the system that work best for you. But at the end of the day, it's just a matter of, okay, so when I scroll back in time, when I take a live trade, can I trust myself? Can I have a good risk to reward ratio? Can I have good management? Can my eyes see the move? For me, that Ichimoku cloud, it's hard to see the move. It's hard to, my eyes just don't see it well. It's all kinds of choppy and weird, and it works. I know it works, but it's too much for my eyes. I don't like it. So
yeah.
Yes. Donna, to answer your question real quick. Sorry, let me answer her question. Not necessarily. What I want you to know is that that's a way. If you want a super safe way to be super trusting, can that be effective? Absolutely. So there's a lot of methods to trading. It's about finding a way that you can see. The plus side to doing it that way is now you're confirmed. So if you wait for the 8 is below the 50, for example, not the 18 as well, you still have a really good entry. If you're waiting for both and then you're going to stay in the trade provided the 8 and the 18 and the 50 are in numerical order. So the lowest is on the bottom, the 18 is in the middle, the 50 is on the top. You're staying in it for a sell until it crosses, okay? Same thing over here for the buy. You're going to stay in this until it crosses. So right now the 8 is above the 18 and it's above the 50. This is a trending up market. So just so you know. And as for the gentleman, Dorian, I believe, who was talking about selling this, what I want you to see also is we just broke a high. So we just broke a high. which is an indication that it's going to keep going up. So did we obviously clearly get a nice pullback? Yes, but now we're wicking. The thing that would make me tempted to keep an eye on this is the size of that candle, first and foremost, and this beautiful divergence. So price is going up on our charts, and our oscillators are telling us a different story. Our oscillator is telling us it flatlined. And usually when this is telling us a different story than this, it's called divergence. There is a lot of science behind it and fancy names and different kinds. But to keep it simple, this is not doing the same thing as this. Then we're looking for a reversal. We're looking, that's an indication of a reversal that would count as part of your checklist of, can I sell this or can I buy this? Any divergence you can see on your chart is proof or a piece of evidence that the market is changing direction. So just so you guys know, supposedly, not 100% accurate, nothing ever is. So just so you guys know.
Thanks, Jenny.
You are welcome. But it's just, if you can see that clearly, see how smooth that is? And yes, it would stop you from taking this part, and this would have been a winner, but it would have also stopped you from taking this part, which could have potentially either give you white hairs or like stressed you out or cost you a loss if your stop loss was too tight. Same thing over here. This was perfect, and then you would have stayed here. Damien, go ahead. And then you would have stayed here, but it would have stopped you from taking any of this, which is kind of a nice thing that you can not have to worry about it. So it's just kind of smooth.
Up or down.
I'm sorry?
So it has a chance to reverse up or down. What do you mean a reversal?
Oh, the divergence is a proof of a reversal?
Yeah, the trend reversal, right?
Yes, sir. So in theory, one of the things that's taught is that divergence is, it's like we have X amount of confirmations, right? So candle formations is a confirmation, break of a trend or break of a 50, or in our case, we use some indicators that tell us what's happening. A lot of people use divergence as a piece of evidence, as saying, hey, this is a trend change. So there's certain kinds of divergence that would be a trend continuation. And then there's certain kinds of divergence that would be proof of the reversal coming. And this one right here, where price is going up, but this is going flat, that those are conflicting. So I'm pretty sure that still counts as that would be a reversal coming. But again, that's just, it's another piece of information that may or may not help you. I think I can post a screenshot in the group to tell you what different kinds of divergence are.
Yeah,
You're basically using the RSI, and then you're using candles, so I can kind of go back in time and see if I see another spot where price is massively overbought, but this is telling us a different story. So like right here.
Yeah, I see it.
Right here, price is higher here. Oh, come on, silly butt. Let's see. Not it. The price is kind of aiming down, right?
Yeah.
But on the actual price of the chart here, and I got to do this better so I don't mess up. I want to be more accurate for you guys. But as you can see on the candles, price is going up. So you see how RSI is telling us something different? So most people who use RSI and are successful with it, they are either using it for proof of divergence or they're using it for the break of the 50. They're trading with the trend. So this right here is aiming down. So this is actually a higher high, whereas in real life this was higher. This is conflicting information. So did price still play around? Absolutely. We can't control this. But that's where we get this nice, beautiful drop from. This perfect drop that doesn't have a bunch of pullbacks, doesn't have a bunch of drama. I mean, that's smooth. When you see divergence, it's just another piece of evidence that you can kind of trust. For instance, if we had triple arrows over here and we have this big divergence, that's one more piece of evidence we can put on our little checklist and say, hey, I trust this trade to go down. It's going to be a pain in my butt. It's going to move around. I don't know what to expect, but my stop loss is in place and I'm going to hold it until I hit my take profit.
So that would be a few weeks of like a week or two of waiting for that, right?
Well, yeah, this is real trading, guys. So this isn't scalping like those ones I called out when we were flicking through the 4 hours. Those are kind of like scalping the 4 hour. It's pretty successful. Your accuracy rate will be pretty high because you're going with the trend, so there's not a lot of risk. As you guys know, I always tell you to move your stop into profit because I would much rather, for instance, if I took this and I moved my stop into profit before I went out and got groceries, sure, I would have only collected 5 pips. But you guys act like that means we're going to miss all this. Unless I died, like there's no reason I didn't check the chart and like, let's see, hold on. Let's say I got knocked out here. This is the 19th at 1600. So I have until the 26th. Okay, that's 7 days, right? I have 7 days where I found this setup again. 7 days where I'm sure I checked the chart. I still see the dots. I see another crossover. I see some more 4-hour support. See 4-hour support that I could have got back in. Like, I'm not worried about taking a loss because price moves back. Well, I'm sorry, not taking a loss. I'm not worried about taking a small profit when price moves back. Because typically when price moves back, it can happen, but it very, very rarely happens that price only moves back and tickles your stop loss and then drops hard. Usually what happens, it comes back, it kind of breaks your original entry. Now you're in drawdown, and then you have to suffer through all this stress in this entire week of, I thought I knew how to trade and I don't know what I'm doing, and I thought I was okay, and now I can't take any other trades because my account is in drawdown way too much with this one pair. Like all this stress. Whereas for me, I'd rather just take my trade. I got knocked out, cool, no problem. I'm gonna wait till my rules line up again, which doesn't happen until, I don't know, somewhere over here, right? Looks like give or take somewhere over here or over here for the later entry. And as you guys can see, that lines up with that profit filter quite well. Almost always, like everything else.
And that's not even a triple arrow.
There's no triple arrow here?
Yeah.
I told you guys I really like these daily dots. I really like the Stairmaster. It's so stinking easy. It's very, very easy. So this would have been a mess. I'm sure this was news or something that caused that ugly gap, and that would have been awful, no fun. But if I had taken this in the same direction as the 4-hour, even on this ugly move that was not nice, ugly, 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 I got in on my fast entry, I still would have got my pips. If I got in on my better entry, my safe, conservative entry, I still would have got my pips. And please, please, just please back test. This works. It works so, so well. But yes, a lot of it is trade management. And that means when you're in profit, you move your stop loss into profit. And does it mean sometimes you'll miss the move? Absolutely, you will. And you'll be like, oh, but I was right, and then it wicked my stop loss, and then it dropped 100 pips. It's cool because you can get back in. You can get back in here and here. Any of these flat bottoms, you can get back in. When it breaks it, just write it down again. So even these buy lines, when it breaks it, write it down again. There's plenty of re-entries if it does. But more often than not, if your stop loss got wicked when it was in profit, it was because price was actually turning around for like that double top thing. It was actually turning around to retest a low or a high. And I don't want to play. That's why I can take 10 trades, whereas somebody else can only take 2, because they held this trade for a week, whereas mine was in profit. I was happy. I maybe only closed out with like 10 pips, maybe a couple pips. I don't know for sure. Whatever. I closed out with a few pips. I took 3 other trades in between here and here, and then I take another time here, and then this time it drops. Everyone is so worried. I don't know how to say that in a super loving way, a nice way that says, guys, don't be worried if your stop loss, it knocks you out in profit. Profit is profit, even if it's only 10 pips. Be worried about being stuck in this trade for 7 days. You can't go take other trades. You're out of your mind. You don't know if it's going to go in your direction. You're thinking it's totally turning around on you, and then it drops. So it's just all a different way of trading. I really hope that you guys hear that. Like, I really, truly hope you hear that. Let's see. Let me check the chat real quick. You're welcome, Donna. I mentioned CHFJPY. Yes, sir. Q2. Is the 8, 18, and 50 best for 4-hour time frame? Actually, I use it on the scalping too. I'm really playing with it for this challenge that I'm going to talk to Pat about this week. I'm really playing with it. Let me check CHFJPY. You can use it on any time frame. You can. Those are my favorite numbers, but you could legit pick whatever, for the most part, within reason, a smaller and a faster. And I definitely do not recommend you getting rid of the 50. I'm really big on you keeping that 50. Because if nothing else, the 50 will always tell you what the market's doing. If it's playing around on the 50, it's because it's consolidating. Okay, so divergence on CHF JPY. What time frame, guy? It's a little hard to see. I mean, and with all these wicks, I don't really think it's super, super fair. I mean, could this be counted as divergence? Absolutely, but this is a consolidating market, so there's not, I mean, this is higher than this, but there's too much time. This isn't like one set of candles. It's not one area, if you will. This is a huge weeks and weeks apart, so that doesn't count. I mean, per se. And as for over here, I mean, it kind of lines up. You've got your 3 tips on the bottom, and then this kind of consolidation. I don't see any major. I mean, here is a low, but anything back here wouldn't count. So this would have been divergence for sure. But hence the reason we probably got that huge move. Over here is divergence, right here. But this is the last real divergence I see, like in terms of counting big divergence for a big time frame. Yes, EMA, that's correct. I always use EMAs. Some people like SMAs, and that's great for them. I just like EMAs because they work for me. So that's just my personality and what works best for me by far. So let's see. There you go. This just doesn't give us anything right now. There's nothing telling us what to do. And that's what I mean, that whole we're waiting for a move. Right here, we would be tricked into taking something because of like our triple arrow system would be telling us to take something, or because we're sure this is going to be the breakout. But as of right now, we don't have any reason to take a trade. We just don't. So the USD pairs look good for maybe, I won't be around for the 1 a.m. candle, but they would look good at that time if I was, and they had enough confirmation. Otherwise, I'm going to check it at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning and make my decision then. And this is kind of all I do. I do most of this on Monday night, and then again, I'll check it Tuesday morning, sometimes Tuesday evening. But Mondays and Wednesday nights is when I'm checking in the evenings, and then usually Monday, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, New York time, and sometimes Fridays. So that's all I do, guys. Does that hopefully help? Does that answer your question in terms of like how I look for trades or what I'm looking for or all that good stuff? At all? Does that help? Let's see. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about how I'm finding trades or what I'm seeing?
So when did the challenge start? I can't remember.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
When do you guys going to start a 250, whatever challenge is that?
So I'm going to talk to Pat on Thursday of this week. So we have a couple of things to go over. There's a lot that goes into that. I'm going to say again on this very recorded call that here's the deal. When you trade high risk, so most of my trading is not done high risk. Most of my trading is not done for 20, 30, and 40%. Most of my trading, like I was a super baby. I didn't go up to 10%. I stayed like most of my trades, I think for the longest time was at 7%. And then I stacked them accordingly. So just to give you an idea, this is high risk trading. And high risk trading means you have a very high likelihood of blowing an account. Because again, it's not even about necessarily being wrong. It's more about being able to survive this moment. Because you can be right. So one of the guys that I work closely with, he's been right, but he's been right to achieve this challenge. However, he blew the account because it was just over leveraged. Like leverage alone knocked him out. And that's on a super accurate trade. So that person is definitely a better trader than me, to be transparent. I have a really good accuracy ratio, but it's definitely a better trader than me. So having said that, I'm wanting a couple other sets of eyes of experienced traders who can say, hey, Jenny, according to what I see on the charts, I agree with you or I disagree. So I'd want somebody else to be able just to see things different than me and maybe hang out, put on some music, because those calls are just long. You would hop on and get the signal, but then we'll kind of stay on the line and just kind of hang out is how most of them are set up. Hopefully hitting take profit that day. But there's no guarantees and there's no easy way out because hindsight's 20/20, but we don't know when we accidentally get into this. And with high lot sizes, it's high risk. So if you can't afford to lose 100 or 200 bucks, you definitely should not participate, because this is for very high risk level. Having said that, I'm looking to start it somewhere in August, either in August or maybe even early, be very, very beginning of September. And that's my personal desire. But again, I got to talk to Pat. And the idea would be we would hop on, odds are early New York. We'd click through the pairs on the larger time frame and the smaller time frame. And I would definitely need a couple sets of eyes and other people to, tell me what they see. Anything to avoid a big group of us, 500 people of us taking a bad trade. We all take trades that can work, but we need it to work now. Because in terms of using the higher lot sizes, and that's why I want to do it with 20 or 30 pips rather than 10 pips, is because it means we can do a smaller amount of risk and still hit $1 million or at least six figures, okay? And that's what Pat and I were talking about, was let's help some of these people get to six figures before we try to help them get to $1 million, because you guys have to have the mentality that really understands that. I would also say that if you, for instance, don't have a house or have $50,000 in debt, I would totally recommend that you withdraw when you hit 50,000 and then just start over. So let's say you have $50,000 in debt, and that is enough to change your life. Then when you hit 55,000, take out your 50,000. You can keep trading with your 5,000, and you would just start the challenge off with X amount of lot size, while some other people would be at a different lot size. Or like, for instance, if you have a family and don't own a house, I'm just that person. I'm very protective, so I would hope that you guys would make those decisions as an individual, because the idea would be to consistently do this challenge as an ongoing thing within the SuperEZ group. But you got to think it's a lot of maintenance. I get hundreds of messages a day. It's insane. Like, it truly is insane. Other than that, I'm looking at maybe not doing 30%. I'm hoping to go definitely less than 30%, because then our statistical odds of blowing an account are very low, but it's very possible. Because again, we already have about a 7% chance, according to my levels of accuracy. So at this point, over a year-long level of accuracy is consistently over 93%. And on some accounts, I have much higher than that. But I'm going to lowball it to be realistic, because we don't know what we don't know yet. So statistically, we have a 93% chance of winning every trade. So we already have a marginal chance of losing a trade, but then you have that marginal chance of, can your account handle that much leverage if there's X amount of drawdown? So, because when you're taking a 30% per trade account for risk, I'm saying that super backwards. Sorry, now I'm getting all nervous. And your account goes at 40 pips into drawdown, and your lot size is 100 lots, this will blow your account. It's done. But if you guys are willing to say, hey, all I have to lose is 100 bucks, I've spent it on shoes, or all I have to lose is 200 bucks, I've spent that on Starbucks this month, and I'm willing to take the risk, then great. The people who have achieved this, a lot of them have done it, 5, 10 times, blown an account. They've done it. One guy has done it 4 times this year alone successfully, and he has blown 13 accounts. So it cost him $1,300 to make over $4 million, just to give you an idea of what's possible. But you have to decide in your mind, is it mentally and emotionally worth it?
I like that. So I'm on the same thing.
So that's just, I can't be any more honest. I can't be any more real than that, because we're all human. I cannot promise that every trade will win, and nobody can. So, I mean, I know that most of my trades are really accurate, and having a few extra sets of eyes might help us kind of just marginally bump that up. And other than that, be willing to take it as it comes, because all it takes is one leverage, one news event, one time Donald Trump, whispers something about Japan, and it wasn't on the news calendar. So that's why I'm saying, guys, if you happen to want a house, if you happen to have a car that you want paid off and just want a little peace of mind in your life, dude, if you get to 30,000, then take out that first 30,000. Once you see that it's possible, once you actually withdraw $30,000, like in real life, in real money, and get it in the real next week. Or if you're using AFX, you'll get it that day. If you're using Hugo's Way, you'll get it next, within that week, give or take. And actually, real $30,000. You won't be so scared to say, okay, I'm gonna leave a few hundred in here. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try this again. And that's really all it takes. It's not super complicated. So
Sounds wonderful to me.
I kind of find it a challenge. I think it's a lot of fun. I do best at that whole that concept of the swing trading method, which I'm not going to fib. It takes longer, but when you do it by the week, it's a lot less stressful because you can afford 2 losses in that account, for instance, a week. Like you can, so in order to hit 6 or 7 figures in 3 months, you can afford to have a total of 6 losses a week. You know, mathematically speaking, you can afford, 6 losses a month. If you're doing that 12-week method, you're changing your lot size by the week. You can still have 6 losses a month, which would mean some weeks you had 2, some weeks you had 1, right? And still hit your 6 or 7 figures in less than 3 months. So well, I'll talk to Pat and we'll kind of figure out how we want to do it and what we want to do and we'll go from there. Yeah. Randy, I do best at the 1 hour and the 4 hour chart, so I'm not taking anything that's against it at all. Dorian, yes, you can share information. I'm not sure about what, but just make sure Pat's okay with it because it is Pat's group. I just teach here. He owns it.
No, I'm talking about just speaking on 4 things that I wrote down.
Oh, please, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I forgot to mention to you as part of my rules, I wanted to make an exception as far as entry. I prefer the slower entry, break of 50, but I do understand price action if I see what they call a tweezer top or tweezer bottom. And if I take that type of trade, just like Pat does, I would hold that long term because you're close to your support dots. Your risk is going to be minimal. And then let me see. Oh, and as far as the challenge, what I decided or what I thought about for those who are worried about blowing their account, if you have another broker account, because you think about it, right? You have your 1-to-1 risk ratio. Once you hit your 1-to-1, anything after that is free money. So just think about funding your AAFX account with the free money that you earn on your other broker account.
Exactly.
And then there was a guy who mentioned having an auto trend line indicator. I was wondering if he could share that if he's in class today, so I could take a look at that because I downloaded something like that plus an alert that went with it, but I want to check out his. And have you, Jenny, have you ever heard of the FX Freedom Bar that comes with the, what's it called? The, what's that oscillator at the bottom that you had? I have it too. It's the FX. It's the Forex Supreme Filter.
You mean the 50 moving average that changes colors?
No. It's the right there at the bottom, the Forex Supreme Filter that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that separately, or did that come as a package with other indicators?
So, I'll again say, guys, at this point I probably have no less than 10,000 indicators, and somebody literally just sent me 1,000 indicator package. It's horrible. So do I know them all? Absolutely not. I couldn't even begin to tell you what color is what at this point. So this particular one is actually from Pat's group. I like it better. Now I do have another one of these, a different version that does come with a, I'm going to use that nice word again, it's a fancy 50. Essentially, it's a 50 moving average that changes color, just like our money tree string line does. So when it's below that line by enough pips, it's one color. When it's above that line by enough pips, another color. And all you're waiting on is this to line up and that to line up, and those are the only 2 things on your screen. Reasonably accurate, but lacking, enough other information. So what I'll tell you is this one's better by far. So if you're using a different version of this Forex profit filter, I promise you I've tested like a dozen, and this is by far the best. This is the best settings on MACD, and there's a lot of them out there. RSI, I prefer 10. ADX, I prefer 10. I might actually slow this down a little bit and put it at 11. I don't want it too much lower than that, but just a little less noise maybe. We'll see. But this wasn't even my standard. This wasn't mine either. This is from multi-billionaires, so you know. They're pretty standard. None of it's like super exclusive or none of it's a miracle as we all think. It's just an accumulative set of knowledge. So
will that be in the notification?
What?
The Forex Profit Supreme. Is mine different? Actually, no, mine is the same, I think. Yeah, mine's the same. Okay, I was just looking at the chart.
This is a demo account. Let's go to, what am I doing? I do know what I'm doing. I think it's under, okay, I'll show you. Oh, no, I'm not going to remember. Watch. No, here it is. So here's the filter, just to show you on this chart, and then I'll have to fix it. It's slower. So there's less noise, but it's less accurate. It's just by far less accurate. And then if I put the other indicator that's supposed to come on here, they call it their signal line. There we go. It's just the fancy 50, slightly weighted, and it changes colors, see? That's all it does.
I saw that one. There's a indicator that came with the Forex Freedom Supreme called the FX Freedom Bar, and you would have to change the settings. I was looking at this, and what it does is it works just like the Forex Profit Supreme, but you have your horizontal dots stacked on top of each other based on the 4 different time frames, and when those dots are all the same color, that means price is moving in the same direction as all the time frames. I put that on because the GG trend indicator that I download, for some reason the letters
are scrunched up, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of frustrating. So
No,
for now.
okay. Well, if you like that better, so if it's essentially a version of the GG trend, I added that to the group, so that was from me. So is the MACD, so is the ADX and stuff. That's great. If it's a variation of that, again, some of us just like different variations, better or worse. So if that works for you, then you're great. Because all it's doing is confirming like what trend it's going. But you have to, like when you're using that GG trend here, I'm pretty sure I have it on this chart. What you have to understand is at this very moment, at this very, very tip top, and at this tip top, I'm willing to bet my butt this entire thing said it was buying. So you would have said that this was a safe buy, and it dropped. I'm willing to bet that at this moment, almost all of this said buy, if not at least 3/4 of it did. Same thing here, here. So what you have to realize about these currency strength indicators and these which way is the market moving indicators is, or even our triple arrows, if every single time frame is telling us to sell, what the market is telling us is price is pushing down very, very hard. So if we have a big arrow on every time frame unconfirmed, right, for the buy, what the market is actually doing is pushing down. So if we have all of this saying that this is selling, okay, every single thing, that means it's already made that much of a move, right? So in its own way. I don't know if I'm saying that in a really good way that you can understand it, but just try to be mindful of that. That's all.
Yeah, I understand. Because the indicators, the big arrows, I don't really rely on that too much. I know that they repaint, and the market's still pushing up or pushing down. It just tells you what's potentially about to happen.
It's a great weatherman. Again, I think Pat says it, but it honestly is a great weatherman with a great group of people. And I think we have enough other things in our arsenal that will confirm this move. But if everything is saying sell right here, it's because the market is pushing so hard up. So we still want to wait for confirmations and a complete set of confirmations to take that trade.
Okay, I have one more fun tip to help you save some time.
Okay, save me some time.
I noticed that you pressed the checkmark box for DLL imports on your.
Oh yeah, I just got that indicator today actually, and I'm going to install it.
Which one?
It's a version of Chart Uploader, right?
Chart Uploader.
So basically, it'll make it to where every single thing I have on my charts will upload naturally, and I don't have to hit DLL anymore.
This one's you don't have to have an indicator for what I'm about to tell you.
Okay, then show me.
Go to Tools.
File.
tools,
I knew that. Seriously.
and options.
We've been on here a while. I didn't even realize how long we've been on here.
And click on Expert Advisor right there. And just click on Allow DLL imports. And you don't have to do that anymore.
On any trade?
On any indicator.
Sorry, on any indicator?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's kind of sweet.
There you go.
That's kind of awesome. Thank you. If you guys caught that tip, see, we're all just kind of a big family. We're all learning together, including myself. I definitely don't know everything. But hey, guys, I've been on here for like a super long time. And we even started early, and it's already like 10:30. So I'm going to hop off. We will jump on tomorrow night. Hopefully find some things by then, kind of crossing over with our 8 and 18, crossing over our 50, or kind of setting up for some reversals. But for now, you have a few things to keep on a watch list in the morning. And I really hope you enjoyed tonight's class. And sweet dreams, good night, and all that good jazz.
Thank you, Jenny.
Wonderful.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for the share, Dario.
All right.
Thanks, Jenny, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy number 9.
Happy birthday.
Turn up.
Happy
birthday.
You're my little super easy family. Sweet dreams, guys.
All right.